Today I'm going to tell you about the most surprising stat I've seen in a very long time, and a take about how Lincoln Riley could end up as the Cleveland Browns head coach, and all that's coming up after the bumper.
What do you mean you don't subscribe to my son's YouTube channel?
Mama, no!
Just snap the damn ball, RJ.
What's up, kid folk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a stat mill. Consider hitting the like and subscribe button because I upload a video every single day. It's always OU related, college football related, sports related. We have a good time. And I'm going to get into the stats and Lincoln Riley. But first, I got this book, and it's right there now. It's called Let It Bang. Comes out October 23rd. It's available wherever books are sold. I wrote it. It's a big deal to me. Wish you would buy it. Also, we got these t-shirts because Bedlam is coming. And, well, Mike Gundy, you got problems up there at Stillwater, bruh. And, put it this way. Oklahoma showed up to the street fight with a pillow. Kansas State showed up with a brick. That's how you lose to a very bad Kansas State football team. So, I want to get into this surprising stat I came across when I was looking up, the best passer efficiency ratings for college football quarterbacks this season, right? Because we're at the halfway point of the season, and I wanted to see which quarterbacks are living up to the hype and which are not. And I came across an even more astounding stat than what these passer efficiency numbers are. But I'm going to tell you first about the top 5 quarterbacks in college football 2018 as it relates to passer efficiency rating. First one is Tua Tagovailoa. Tua's rating is 258.4, which is stupid on a number of levels, and I'm going to get into why that's so stupid in a minute. Behind him is our very own Kyler Murray. Murray is also at a stupid 227.8. After Kyler is Jake Fromm at UGA. His rating ahead of the LSU game was 192.5. Then there's Dwayne Haskins, Ohio State, 190.8. And then Will Grier. It's like a point behind Dwayne Haskins, not even a point. And those are the best quarterbacks in college football in 2018. And those are really astounding numbers when you put this in perspective. And perspective is, how do these stack up among all the best college football quarterbacks in their best seasons? So those 5 quarterbacks that I just mentioned, Tua, Kyler, Jake Fromm, Dwayne Haskins, and Will Grier, are among the top 10 passer ratings of all time in a season. Now, I know the season's not over and ratings go up and ratings go down, but that to me spoke to the wider, bigger, colossal size picture of what college football is and what it is today, and that the quarterback play has progressively gotten better every single year. Back when Sam Bradford was setting records with his efficiency rating around 180, Oregon quarterback Justin Herbert's rating is just a touch higher than that, at 180.9. Because the game is much more about spacing and athleticism at quarterback, but most of these quarterbacks are so much more accurate than they have been in the past. And you can make an argument that Tua and Kyler are changing the game and that they are mobile and they can make things happen with the RPO game. But guys like Justin Herbert and Will Grier aren't so much about making plays with their feet as much as they move around the pocket and they find a passing lane and complete a pass. You could make that argument about Jake Fromm too, has gotten so much better as a sophomore. And why is it that these quarterbacks are just so much better than they have been in years past? Well, I think it's all scheme. You're basically running a pick and roll play every time you have the ball in a shotgun spread because it's no longer just air raid, throw it out, dump it off. It is building in a run play into every pass play or vice versa. And quarterbacks are smart. They look at how many guys are on one side of the football, or they look at the open space and they decide to attack it, just like their coach do. So they don't have to make audibles at the line of scrimmage because the play is already drawn up. There are 2 plays when you go to the line of scrimmage. To say nothing of how this receiver field has just changed. We're talking about tight ends that play as slot receivers now. The guys on the outside are so much more athletic and they're big. We got guys at 6'5", 6'6" that used to be traditional defensive ends that play wide receiver now. Guys like Colin Johnson, Denzel Mims, guys like Grant Calcaterra used to be blown up to play on the line of scrimmage. Now they play tight end and basically slot receiver. And to put a bow on how efficient quarterbacks have been over the past 10 years, now looking at the top 10, you'll see only one quarterback in that group who didn't throw a pass in the last decade. That'd be Colt Brennan when he was at Hawaii, and his mark is 186. And 2 of those guys have ratings over 200. Now, I know the season is not over. I've said that. But that's still bonkers because they're probably not going to go below 200 in their passer rating. And for the utmost perspective, Baker Mayfield has the number 3 and number 4 spots, and those records stand for the season right now because they're the most efficient seasons by a college football quarterback in 2016-2017, and he was at 196.4 and 198.9 in 2016 and 2017 respectively. So this year, I think between Tua and Kyler, you're going to see not 1, But two guys set the mark over 200 for the first time ever in college football. And that is awesome because that means that the game is so much more faster. The quarterbacks understand it better. You're going to see more points scored. And as far as Lincoln Riley's brand of offense, that is what we're doing now. That is where everybody's looking to go, which transitions nicely into my take on Cleveland Browns coach Hugh Jackson and how Lincoln Riley could be replacing him. Now, take into account, Hugh Jackson is 2-33-1 ahead of the game against the San Diego Chargers, which is played today. LA Chargers. Who cares? Nobody won in LA. San Diego Chargers. And those of us who are newly minted Cleveland Browns fans have awakened to the fact that Hugh Jackson probably ain't the best head coach. And now that there are tools to be built around, and you have Baker Mayfield, your transcendent quarterback, your franchise quarterback, and you got guys like Denzel Ward at corner, Jabril Peppers ain't really working out at free safety, but you got Antonio Callaway on the outside, Jarvis Landry on the outside, you get an offensive line, all of a sudden the Cleveland Browns are a playoff team. You can see how that job becomes more attractive for offensive-minded head coaches. Now, I know that there are a lot of Dallas Cowboys fans who watch this channel who are like, I wouldn't mind Lincoln Riley being Dallas Cowboys head coach. Well, I don't think that's going to happen, even though Jason Garrett's probably going to be the first coach fired this year because they're just god-awful, and everybody doesn't like Jason Garrett, and he's worn out his welcome, and after he punted on the 42 in overtime against Houston, they lost that game. Everybody's over it. Everybody wants him to be fired. At this point, it's about whether or not Jerry's going to fire him during the midseason, which he's probably not. But also, since Garrett's contract up in 2019, Jerry Jones might just buy him out and say goodbye. And that would mean that Jerry Jones would have to talk somebody else into letting Dak Prescott be their quarterback. But I don't see that happening either because in the last 13 games, again, prior to Sunday, he's thrown 13 picks and just 10 touchdowns. Dak ain't really it at quarterback. If he doesn't have the best offensive line, perhaps in NFL history, he's not any good. And how fair is that to the rest of the guys playing there? No, re-up with Zeke, go get a new quarterback, blow it up, start over. That's the only thing you can do in Dallas. And I also don't think that's a good job for Lincoln because Jason Garrett was making $6 million a year. Lincoln Riley's making $5 million a year as the head coach at Oklahoma. Don't think he wants to walk into Dallas and create a new situation for himself where he has to dig out of a hole. Whereas at Oklahoma, he's sitting pretty. He's going to reload at quarterback next year, probably going to revamp the defensive scheme. He's got everything he wants. He gets to make all the decisions, and he doesn't have to worry about Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones, or Will McClay making decisions on his behalf for his personnel. I just don't see it. Whereas Cleveland, you get to team up with a guy like John Dorsey who sees the game the way you see it. Because John Dorsey drafted Pat Mahomes, drafted Tyreek Hill, drafted Travis Kelce. All guys that fit into the scheme that Lincoln Riley is very happy running. But it's not just me who has this take. Albert Breer at Sports Illustrated came on the Bull and Fox show last week, and he was the guy that posited Lincoln Riley as a potential option for the Browns if they don't like what Hugh Jackson does in the last 3 quarters of the season. And Albert Breer would probably know because he went down there to see Lincoln and ask him about how to run his system, how much of Baker is responsible for it, does the system work, is it the quarterbacks? But also you know that Lincoln Riley's system works, and you also know that he can raise quarterbacks because he went from Baker Mayfield to Kyler and there was no drop off whatsoever. You can even make an argument that Kyler's been a better quarterback than Baker was when he first got the job. You also see in the NFL, everybody's moving toward a system that looks like Lincoln Riley's because they're seeing what Kansas City's doing and they're seeing how it translates to the NFL. And if you have a quarterback and you have some fast wide receivers, you could play this kind of offense too. And the last reason I think that this is something to keep an eye on, not just for the Cleveland Browns or Dallas Cowboys, but for the NFL in general, is because the assistants pool in the NFL is really kind of drying up. Who's the next best coordinator you could hire to coach your NFL team? Nobody's really pulling names out of hats. Now, whoever ends up being coordinators in the Super Bowl, yeah, they'll be hot names. They'll be hot hires. But I gotta believe there's at least 5 to 7 teams that are gonna be shopping for a new head coach next year. And Lincoln Riley's gonna be fielding some phone calls because people know he can pick quarterbacks, he can raise quarterbacks, and his system on offense works. And wouldn't you love to have the next Sean McVay as your NFL head coach? All right, that's it for me. Deuces.